The unnecessary math courses. My subject is in regards to, or why I'm addressing this, is in regards to math classes that are required for a transfer or for a graduation or even to get your AA. And here's the reason why. Bear with me as I bring this up. As students trying to pursue a degree, a diploma, a bachelor's degree, whatever it is, we're coming back to school to further our education, right? In the education, in this part of the education, we are asked to take a math class or a math course or a place in a math course that is required by community colleges to transfer into a university. So we have to learn math, we have to grow with it, and we have to understand it. It doesn't mean we have to love it, but it's part of a requirement that is being asked of us to do or to take in order to move forward. Do you use math in your everyday life? Do you use it as something in your everyday language? Not necessarily, but we do have to take it, right? And do you feel that math, a specific level of math, a high range of math, define your intelligence? Do you feel that it is placing you as this most intellectual person? Not necessarily. I don't think math should define who we are as human beings and what our success rate is going to be. So, but what kind of math do you use in your everyday? It's pretty much very simple, very basic. It is addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, sometimes even figuring out percentages, especially if there's a sale. But it's not a complicated math that you have to use either trigonometry, calculus, statistics, or even algebra. Math you use in your everyday life, like I said, is basic. So why is it that when we start going into college and pick a degree that we're going to pursue, we are forced to take a particular math class in order to transfer out? Why are we not asked what math we feel benefits our career? So why is it okay to place these students into math classes that have absolutely nothing to do with a degree that they chose or have chosen in order to pursue a path in a career, and link that diploma to that career and have a fulfilled life of opportunities? As students, we are required to take a math class. Many are placed in math courses they do not need, and at times can't really understand, and hinders the education level or the transfer level into a higher percentage of transfer. So in this chat I'm having with you all, I will first address what many students face when enrolling into a community college, and knowing that they or we have to take this math class as a required in order to transfer into a Cal State, into our AA or a university, and get that degree. To those that decided to come back after several years or have had a hiatus for many decades, like myself, I will also be addressing this in the topic. And secondly, I will give you information as to why asking students to take a math class that does not seem fit for their major hinders a graduation success rate, and why most students, such as myself, have left math as the last subject to take in order to transfer out or even graduate. And finally, I will follow up with a form of an idea of how to solve this deficiency in transfer into the graduation level, as well as getting the diploma that we so much want to succeed in. Help improve or create a solution to transfer and to graduate is an accomplished into our education. And I will use myself as a guinea pig or as an example in regards to why I have touched on this subject. So I am 46 years old. I've had a great career, or I was in a career. It came to a halt during COVID, which made me realize why I needed to go back to school and finish a degree and not feel strapped or impotent in furthering my education and my career. So once COVID hit, it was a realization that I needed to go back to school. At 46 years old, giving it a stab is a little bit more complicated because I've been out of college for I've been out of high school for over 2 decades, which is the case for so many people. And math has never been my strong subject. I have worked as a teacher's assistant in my younger years, but then moved into the entertainment business, which is where my career has developed. I started off as a sales account manager where I did have to use math, but it wasn't trigonometry and it wasn't calculus and it wasn't statistics. It was just pretty much basic addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and maybe percentages of what I needed to bill based on the accounts that I had for the on-air shows. Then from there, I moved as a co-host for a radio station, and then I did voiceovers for the radio and commercials, as well as moving to the marketing department. That did require some math, but it didn't require an elaborate process of math, which is what I like to call hard math. And then from there, I went into freelancing with various music labels, and negotiating my rate, needed to use math, and then became a personal manager and an artist representative. But yet, like I said, I still needed something to showcase the level of education in order to move up in my career because I wanted to become more successful. And the only way to do that is to go back to school. So I decided to go back to school and finally get my degree in communications and hopefully one day pursue my master's because I do want to start my own business in this field. So I graduated high school in 1994, where some of you may have not been born yet or were about to be born, or 1994, it's far back. I tried to attend community college, and back then you had to take a placement test. I took a placement test which placed me at a high level in English, but also placed me at a level of math that I honestly don't know how I got there. I don't even know how I placed in, I think it was calculus or one of those. I can't remember because it was literally, I think it was 95 and 96. Placed me in a calculus, and then it placed me in a trigonometry class. Honestly, I don't know how I got there because I guessed on that placement test, and I don't know why I felt that I was gonna have to start from scratch, even though I had taken courses in high school like pre-algebra, algebra, and geometry. So I took the classes at the community college that I was attending, and it didn't go well. I mean, it was math anxiety to its extent. I would get nauseous, I would break out in hives, I wouldn't test well, I had to do so much research, I hired tutors, it just was not getting easier for me. And this was back then. So I ended up failing some classes, I ended up dropping some classes, and I ended up just kind of fully giving myself a break because I felt that I wasn't going anywhere and it was going to hinder the process of me even transferring into a Cal State LA. And I was just wasting my time and wasting my educator's time as well as my tutors. I felt like a failure and said I was never going to go back to school. The minute I hear you have to take math, I get this overwhelming anxiety and nerves. And I start to set myself up for failure. But I came to realize that I am not the only one who feels this way. In doing this speech, I actually asked a couple of students or fellow classmates from other classes that I've been taking, and most of them responded the same thing. I have waited to take math as my last course in order to transfer because I do not like it. I'm not good at it, and I'm afraid to fail. That gave me a sense of comfort in a way, but at the same time, it was always a sucky feeling to know that we all feel this way based on the math that we have been placed in to take. We weren't asked, we were forced. So to address this, I looked up some stuff and I researched, and as stated in the Kids Frontiers for Young Minds, math anxiety affects many people and is related to part of the lower poor math skills. Scientists have asked children as young as 6 years old if they were comfortable with math by using a smiley face or a worried face in a chart. Most of the students pointed at the frown face or the sad face or the stressed out face because they had fear of learning a new math. An article in the Los Angeles Times interviewed a chancellor of Los Rios Community College District of Sacramento and stated, "If you don't know basic arithmetic, you are now in a transfer level course 1. Faculties are very concerned with what to do with students who fail this course." Lori Parks, who was in my shoes, except she's a little bit older, stated, she graduated more than 4 decades ago and was embarrassed to find out she wasn't ready for basic math. She was to go into linear equation and she had to take private math classes to catch up and felt as if she had just learned to read. This is literally how I felt. And this is literally how some of my classmates and my other classes have felt. As if they're learning a new language that they're just not going to grasp and know that it's not going to go into a career that they've chosen. Some have chosen to be elementary school teachers and are forced to take statistics when they're going to probably teach, math classes that entail 1 + 1 or 2 + 2 or 2 × 2. It's not always benefiting them, and it's not always easier for them to acquire a degree in their bachelor's of education. So most colleges prevent students from taking a course more than 3 times. The Washington Post states, although 60% of students enrolled in a community college must take at least 1 course in math, 80% of students never fulfill the requirements and end up dropping out. The Seattle Times states, more than any other subject, math trips up students and hinders their thrive in college, especially those who do not seek well in math. It pretty much lets them know or lets them feel, allows them to feel that they are not good at that subject, hence trying to pretty much put math off as a last resource. Those that would thrive, especially who do not plan in technical careers that require proficiency with numbers, placing students in a math course that has to be passed in order to transfer and acquire an AA graduate is a course that will cost students more time and at times more money. So just because there are resources to help pass a math class, such as tutoring provided by the campus, or private tutoring, or paid tutoring, or however you want to place a tutoring resource, you're still spending some sort of extra money, and your time is also being placed into almost not a waste, but it's just you're extending your time as to what you should be doing with it when you're getting the tutoring and hoping that you'll pass the class. And let's just say you pass it, but at the same time, you're almost asking to pass it with a C and might affect your GPA in a later time. So the Assembly Bill of 705 implemented in 2019 sought to change community colleges of removal of remedial classes, meaning classes that you've already taken in high school. Yet over 113 community colleges in California region have not implemented that rule. The problem is placing students in math classes that won't benefit in their future career choice. I believe that unless you are majoring as a mathematician, engineer, doctor, or financial analysis programming, then a math course should be required for the transfer. I'm not saying to get rid of math in its entirety. What I'm saying is to look at what students are majoring and what degree will work for them in their future career. Try a math pathway, and this is where I'm trying to get at. There is a way to do an analysis of what students are going to take as their major and what they want to do with that bachelor's degree that helps them graduate. But find a math class, a math pathway that will cater or mold into that particular career or degree and allow them to take a math course. For example, an everyday math or a simple math that you know that you're going to benefit if you're majoring in education, if you're majoring in preschool, if you're majoring as, a human resources, if you're majoring in the entertainment business like myself, look to acquire a mold or sort of a plan of action for those particular students that are going to take these classes and find a math class that is equivalent to that part of the education instead of placing them or forcing them to take a math class that essentially is not going to benefit them in their future career. It might be a relevant course that it has to be taken, but it's hindering the success rate of graduation or even transfer students. And hopefully once that mold or that career plan, as to say, or that educational plan has been put in place based on the career, it would help raise the equivalency of graduating students, transfer students, or even those that are just trying to seek an AA. It shouldn't be too hard, especially when you have students that are speaking to counselors and those counselors are trying to fit in what courses they should be taking. It's just a required of patience and time. Instead of wasting their time, you're building up that time and able to give them a better education path to lighten up the load, and also make them feel that they can succeed in this field that they've chosen themselves. It helps them to succeed and pass and become a proud graduate instead of feeling like they failed themselves and not accomplishing that degree. As Audrey Hepburn said, the word impossible says I'm possible. So if there's a way to make your graduation, your transfer, or your future success possible, look into what we can do as a community of students. Is maybe to write a petition to the state senates in the education field and try to figure out if there's a way to not get rid of math, but actually find courses in math that will help us succeed and graduate and transfer. Maybe even putting in like, hey, on a daily life as to what math course could be taken, so we can really truly succeed. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for seeing my side, and hopefully something resonates with you all. It's been a pleasure, and have a great afternoon.